Good afternoon, everyone. Wells refilling in Yemen after heavy floods and rains. Central Party in China says provinces can only increase but not decrease grain production. Oops, Huguan County in Shanxi unable to meet the quotas. Food crisis inbound, spiking soybeans 21%, and if this is the minimal buying that China's doing and it drove prices that much, what's it going to look like when they hit full purchases at something 5x what that is? And you'll understand online grocery sales are about to moon. And just a quick word from this video's sponsor. You know, the world and life in front of us has never looked so uncertain as it does now. Across the U.S., people are being paralyzed into indecision, flustered, shutting down, and avoiding the issues, the money issues. But as bleak as that might look, there may be a silver or even a gold lining. If you've worked with a company or a firm for years before COVID, you could have a 401k sitting around gathering dust, or even an old IRA that's working for your old company when it could be working for you. It could be thousands of dollars. Find out more about unlocking your own hidden treasure with gold, silver, or precious metals-backed IRAs. Call the Noble Gold team at 877-646-5347. And if that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is giving away the U.S. Mint's own solid silver 5-ounce $1 Apollo 11 moon landing coin with each qualifying a gold or silver IRA. And the link's in the description box below. Great story here. Mother Nature replenishing herself. High water wells in Yemen after floods and rains. As a follower of mine sent this, never would have found the article. Such a beautiful story about refilling wells and people with the fresh water there in Yemen. A gift from the heavens. And this is now the third year of incredible rains. And I am of the volition that this is becoming a new growing area where fertile plains shall be seen again in the very near future. This is just the start. There's so many changes around the planet happening right now. And even if we jump up to Korea and the Korean Peninsula, July of 2020 was cooler than June for the first time in recorded history going back to 800 AD. A disturbing sign of climate change, I totally agree, but it's a grand solar minimum, massive cooling change that's disrupting global agriculture. And even on the Korean Peninsula from that point, it's the second highest amount of rainfall ever seen. So what are the chances of an inversion in temperature that hasn't been seen ever in the last 800 years, and the second highest amount of rainfall ever seen in the same month? Massive changes. We're seeing them everywhere across the planet. And as the naive human will believe that we can somehow conquer nature. Chinese Communist Party ordering farmers across the country to only increase but not decrease grain production. What the CCP says will manifest, not, sorry. Because today, Epoch Times news story out, Chinese counties in the largest grain-growing areas of China, Shanxi, are admitting that they're unable to meet the quota. 5 million kilograms, meaning that China faces a food crisis. Now, this area is in Huguan, in the county government area of Changzhi. And as I said, in Shanxi, this is a major grain-growing area. If they're not able to meet their quota, there's massive losses across the country. Massive. And those floods that are the largest floods in the last either 200 or 400 years, depending on which record you're looking at, wiping out the central and southern grow zones, and then Typhoon Taishan slamming the northern area in Heirloom just 2 weeks ago along on the Korean Peninsula with some of the highest wind speeds ever recorded, making landfall there in South Korea. China has lost its production for the year. So what do you think they would do with their extra bonds and gold and reserve currency? They're going to sell it all to get what they can for food. Now we're seeing soybeans priced in at a 27-month high on increased Chinese demand. Now, this demand's not going anywhere. It's only going to start from here. They've admitted there's a food shortage inbound now. So they're going to start buying anything on the planet to satiate their citizens so they don't overthrow the government. Hungry people overthrow governments. I don't care what kind of control you might think you have on them, but the hungrier they get, the more unruly they become. And we've seen this through history in the last 8,000 years. You don't feed your people, you don't stay in power. Period. And somehow, because we're in 2020, you think that's going to be different? Look at this new bull market taking soybean prices up 21% in the last 5 months. Now, moving over to the chart here, there has been higher soybean prices in the past. But where we're looking right now in the last 2 years, when there's supposed to be plentiful supply around the planet, according to the experts, there's not. It's all being gobbled up. And the losses in the United States this year, the losses across Europe this year, and the massive losses in China, and Australia losing most of its wheat and rice, has just switched this planet into never-ending price increases going forward. You're going to be looking at 3 to 7x food price increases through the next 2 to 3 years here. And I want to drive the point home here. China demand for soybeans is increasing. Now, the excuses are that say that, oh, the African swine fever's finished and all the pigs are back and they need all this. Wait a second. I did report after report on how the central government had pig farmers switch to fish farms because they used less input, less feed, and they had never, ever intended to bring the hogs and the swine industry back to where remotely close it was. It was a full switch, even government funded, over to fish farming. So this excuse here makes no sense whatsoever. And this chart really does say it all for the future of food pricing for all of us around the world here. The bottom 2 lines are the actual purchases so far. The dotted lines are where the commitments were during the trade deals that were signed. So the actual purchases right now are only 1/3 of where they're going to go with the imports. Think about that for a second. If it's already driving price this much on the demand of 1/3 of what they really need, and it's still up 21%, what do you think it's going to be when they go full throttle into and even exceed that, begging for more? And if we use a 40 billion number, even lower, 5x of that is going to be bringing us right around 200 billion. And the Chinese commitments are actually going to increase a little bit. So that'll average off at a 5x increase. American crops are going to be down this year. So what's going to happen with the price? This is where it's all going forward. Food prices based on other countries' needs. And at what point does the United States say no more sales to China for any types of grain? Because you saw what happened in Brazil and Argentina. They bought every last kilogram of whatever was available, and the prices spiked, and the people said no more. They forced the government to back down and cut off the exports to China. Now, how long will it be? The United States is one of the last countries in the world that can still export at this volume to that country. And if the exports from the United States stop, China's going into a famine instantly almost. I would give it a 2 to 3 month lag time from what the inbound cargo shipments are to where the storage facilities are and what the throughput is out to the supermarkets and onward. Give it 3 months after the U.S. cuts off any kind of trade export. It is going to get nasty, and food prices are going to be anywhere from 3 to 7x increasing. Now, how would that dent into the global economy anyway? This whole grand solar minimum, governments knew it was coming. They knew your food prices were going to increase 2, 3, 7x. They knew the economy was going to collapse. And this is a result of what we're seeing right now, the damage control to control the citizens of this planet. So when you do get unruly because you can't get access to food or it gets to those absurd prices, you're already controlled. You're in a little cage. But if you're in the cage, online grocery sales are taking off. You're being funneled into the cage of sales, funneled into the online world here. Grocery sales, goods, whatever it is, can be delivered to your home. Now, what will it take? Not even that much a stretch of imagination to think that they will start to limit what you can buy online. And if you're not going to a physical supermarket to get it and you're ordering everything online, what are you going to have to do to get your food? Anything they tell you to do. The powers that be will make any rule, and you'll have to follow it to get food unless you grow your own or you've stocked some away. And irregardless of that, you should have emergency food supply. I mean, 1 week or 4 week emergency food supply, that's a no-brainer. 6 months to a year would probably be where you want to go. But you can start small. At least you know you have a peace of mind so you don't have to immediately run out to the stores, get in the chaos if something were to happen. Because the higher the food prices go, And the deeper the supply chains are cut out, the more you're going to have to rely on your communities and yourselves. So I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. All the links to tonight's stories, images, and graphs are in the description box below, and I will see you next time.